I love toy collecting. It's evolved. It's evolved quite a bit. I've evolved with it, I suppose. What's so great about it is you just don't know what you're going to find and where. My brother reached out to me. He said, "Hey, there is a Collecticon happening out in Fort Worth. Would you be interested in going?" I was like, "I think I've heard of that before." And lo and behold, I actually have been to this convention. Now, it's mainly a card convention, a lot of Pokemon cards, Yu-Gi-Oh, sports cards, but there are a few toy booths, retro video games and things like that. Even though there weren't a ton of toy booths, the people that brought things, man, they really brought it. What am I looking for? Yeah, that's stuff I'm always looking for, right? Aliens, a Batman, 90s Kenner, movie licensed toys. You just don't ever know, right? I've shame on me. Don't have any expectations going in. Don't have a sort of conceived agenda of what you may or may not find. Just go there, and if something really strikes a chord with you, if it jumps out at you, pick it up. It was really neat being there with my brother, him, because he was just in awe of everything. He's a bit out of the game when it comes to toy collecting. You know, a lot of what I got into at a very early age was because of him. And I think that's probably the case with a lot of younger and older siblings, right? Things that he's really interested in, you want to be interested in. So this convention was held in Fort Worth, Texas, and that's actually where my brother lives. So I drove out to Fort Worth for where I'm at. It's not too far of a drive. Fort Worth's such a cool city. If you get a chance to go, I love it. I really love how they've developed and grown that city. It was packed. There were a ton of people there, so it made maneuvering around a bit challenging. There were, like I said, it was a really good turnout. And Tone Loc, if you know who he is, let's do it. And what is it? Ace Ventura. He's in Ace Ventura, and he's probably done some other things. So I probably don't have to tell you who Tone Loc is. Anyway, he was doing a set later on. We didn't stick around for that.
And we go a little something like this. Hit it.
One of the first booths we went to that had toys laid out, I saw a row of these, and I was like, that's one I've been missing.
It's Major Blood and the Cobra Copter. They're after Gung Ho. Get the G.I. Joe Dragonfly Copter. Wild Bill to the rescue. Major Blood, look. Let's get out of here. Cobra's turning tail.
And these things are great, man. I mean, he's got the dog tags on him that he's taken from Fallen Joe's. I mean, the finger goes right into the trigger of the pistol. He's got a holster for his sidearm. I mean, like I said, most of these figures come with so much gear and accessories that it's just so very neat. And I'll have to do a video. I have these comics, and they're called the G.I. Joe Order of Battle. They're basically just character profiles of all the Joes and Cobra, and even some of the equipment, some of the vehicles and the gear. I'll have to do a video talking about those, but I was stoked to find this one, and I think this is the one thing that I thought, hopefully they have some G.I. Joe classified figures that I don't have that I'm looking for, some of the ones that are exclusives and kind of harder to find. And one other little thing, when we got back to my brother's place, I opened this figure up to show him how cool these are, and it was awesome to see him take this out of the package and put the backpack on and sort of handle it, and he was just so blown away. And I said, I'm telling you, that's why the G.I. Joe Classified line is some of my favorite figures that have come out recently. So we popped into the next booth and had some toys or things that I was interested in. And I mean, I gotta say, I saw this and actually walked away from it, and I went back towards the end of the day and I picked it up, and I was really glad it was there, and I really am surprised that I just left it behind. It's this Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, special edition, mail away exclusive, glow in the dark figure. Look, Elvira, there's a lot of nostalgia there. You know, she'd come on TV late at night, you would watch her, and you're thinking, man, should I be watching this? You know, I mean, but yeah, I love her whole aesthetic, man. She's been an icon of horror for a very long time, and this figure, it's great. It glows in the dark. I'm a sucker for a glow in the dark figure. It's got the chainsaw. I don't know much about Figure Toys Company, but this came out in 1998. And I was talking to the guy, and he kind of, these are hard to come by. And I did some research later, and they are. I mean, there's only one of 5,000 produced. It was a mail away thing, and it still glows. My brother actually thought this was the find of the day, this one here, and I almost can't disagree with him on that. I collect a lot of horror things. Horror may be my favorite genre of film, and it's right in my wheelhouse, and not something at all I was expecting to find, not something at all I even knew that exists. And it'll look great with my horror stuff. I'm a big fan of retro video games, and it's something I probably don't talk enough about on my channel, and I plan to more and more as I make more videos. And they did have a few sort of retro video games. One thing in particular I thought was neat, I didn't pick it up, was a box copy of Mario Tennis. And the reason that's so neat, and probably why the price is so very high, is that was actually a pack-in game from the Virtual Boy. So you don't see the boxed version of that very often. And they had a few things. The retro video games, if you were going looking for retro video games, you probably would have been a little bit let down. They had a copy of Beach Spikers for the GameCube, which, listen, I know you're probably thinking sports game, this, that, and other. I'm telling you, it's done by Sega. I believe it was originally an arcade game. It is way more fun than it should be. Check that one out. I think it was like 20 bucks or 30 bucks, and that's reasonably priced for a GameCube game. Highly recommend it if you're looking for something different. Talked about it a lot on my channel. I'm a huge fan of what Kenner did in the 90s, and I'm a really big fan of Swamp Thing, and was pleasantly surprised to find a Swamp Thing figure that I don't have in my collection. I can't remember the exact name of this variation. It may be Log Launcher. That seems weird. Seems like a weird name. Swamp Thing, but it's one that I didn't have. And so I just think Swamp Thing is such an interesting character. I love the movie. I love the cartoon. I love the comics, and I even love the TV show that came out. I'm getting to the point where I'm almost running out of Swamp Thing figures to collect, because they've made several, but there's not many that are out there that I don't have, and this was one of them. So I was pleasantly surprised to find a little retro Kenner there. I always jump on Kenner if I can find it, and especially Swamp Thing, like I said. And I'm definitely going to do, I've been talking about it for a while, I'm definitely going to do a whole video or maybe a series of videos on Swamp Thing. It's great. It's full of whimsy, and it's pretty good animation, some decent storytelling, so I plan on doing something like that sometime in the near future. So last and most definitely not least, we circled back around to one of the first booths we went into that had a lot of really neat stuff, mostly new things, which is totally fine. And I had my eye on this Boba Fett from The Mandalorian, this figure, and it was really cool. It had a rocket that fired, and I was like, yeah, I walked away from it, and we went about our business for the day looking for other stuff. So I said, hey, before we leave, let's circle back around to that first booth we went to. Just maybe I'll pick up that Boba Fett. Maybe I'll find something else that I missed earlier. And I'm so glad we did. So I'm looking at this stuff, and I kind of turn around, and there's toys behind me, surrounded by toys, and tucked back behind one of the shelves, it's a NECA Real Toy Terminator figure. However, it's an error. It actually has Kyle Reese labeled on the front, and I inspected it. It's not a sticker that was put on there. It's definitely an error straight from NECA. And so it's just so jarring to see this, what we know as the T-800, packaged up with Kyle Reese, with a Kyle Reese sticker, the human resistance soldier. It ain't human. This guy's not human. Look at him. That's Kyle Reese. Is it? No, it's not. And so for someone that has a lot of Terminator figures, and it's a decent Terminator collection, I couldn't leave this behind. I may go my entire life and never see something like this again. I've done some research. I haven't found another one like it. Maybe there were more. I don't know how much it increases the value of the figure. I bought this for, what this figure would go for now. And so I was really happy to see there wasn't some price gouging going on just because it was an error. The seller definitely knew. She was like, yeah, did you notice that? That's kind of weird. And I said, yeah, that's why I'm getting it. Because I have this version of the T-800, not by NECA. I have this version of the T-800, the Terminator, from Mafex Toys. And I really, really like what Mafex does. Their prices are a little bit higher than most, but you get what you pay for. And I kind of feel like this is back when NECA, maybe the quality build was a bit better, but this is so neat to have. And the fact that it has that error on the front, Kyle Reese. It's not Kyle Reese. And you can look close. It looks like over here. It looks like it was kind of peeled on the corner upon, someone to check and see if, is there something else behind it? But I can definitely tell this wasn't put back on. because when you peel something like this away, the sticker is going to curl up, and you're not going to be able to get it back on like that, that pristine. So how quirky is this? And actually, come to think of it, I would really like to have the actual Kyle Reese figure. I have one that's from the reaction, the Super 7 reaction. Bucket list is the Hot Toys. I think it's the very first figure they did, the 1/6 scale Kyle Reese. He's got all the gear, but that figure is like ridiculously expensive. But maybe if I save my pennies one day I can get that. But there's not a lot of Kyle Reese figures. I mean, listen, Michael Bain, he was the man in the 80s. I mean, look at what he has under his belt. He's Kyle Reese. He's Corporal Hicks. This is not either. I would like to eventually get, let's see, that figure. Where is he? Over there. You can see him. And maybe one day I'll come across him. But for right now, I'm happy having something like this to add to my Terminator collection. It's so very quirky, for sure. We had a great day after it was all said and done. We posted up at a bar. I don't drink alcohol, so I had me a zero, Budweiser Zero. My brother enjoyed him a nice drink, and we reflected on this awesome day. And it was really cool hanging out with him and doing this with him. It's something we've done before, but it's been a little while. So that's it. I mean, it wasn't this mega haul, but the things I got, I was super duper excited about just because they're just so different. I mean, outside of Major Blood and the Swamp Thing, it just things like the Air Package Terminator and the Elvira figure, you just don't know are out there, and you're happy to find that to your collection. I definitely recommend if the Collecticon comes to your town, go check it out, especially if you're into card trading. They've got a lot of really neat things, and even the vendors that are there selling toys or retro video games, smaller selection, right? But they've got some really cool stuff. Things that are well above my pay grade, well out of my budget, like that Akira Kaneda jacket. I mean, that's just awesome. I love Akira, and there's some high-end sports cards that I saw. It's just like it blows your mind to think that the sports card trading's just come full circle, and I'm happy to see that. So yeah, I appreciate you watching. Thanks so much for tuning in. I like to do these little pickup videos from time to time. So if you like what you watch here, subscribe, hit the notification button. I try to add variety, though I'm really passionate about the things I'm passionate about, so sometimes I kind of get on a tear, and I may talk about one topic a little bit longer than the other. But it's like I always say at the end of my video, be kind as you rewind and fast forward through time. Thanks so much for stopping by 2 Day Rental.